Lauren's here. Hey guys, how you doing? How are you guys doing tonight? Doing good? Not good? Doing awkward? I'm doing awkward. Oh good, you guys will laugh at my jokes. That's not a good. You get what you ask for sometimes. Alright, so like Chris said, this is too loud. Wow. My name is Jenny Zulovich. I am a senior studying biochemistry with a smattering of computer science in there. And I am from right here in town. So, townie, go me. I went so far to college, I know. And I want it documented that God has a sense of humor. Because, alright, so first of all, like Chris said, I applied for a talk in November. This is clearly not November. But also, so today is September 13th, which is the memorial of St. John Chrysostom? And, awesome. And he is the, Chrysostom means golden mouth, and he was known for his eloquence, and he is a patron saint of speakers, which, as you can tell by this display, I'm none of those things. So he is up there praying real hard for me right now. And so, anyway, so I was asked to give this talk about why be a Christian. And so when I was first asked to do it, I was in either a moment of Holy Spirit or stupidity. I said I would do it. And so I was thinking, trying to get myself hyped. I'm like, all right, yeah, what can I talk about? You know, why be a Christian? And I was getting excited. Then two of my friends come up. Their names are Reality and Common Sense. And they were like, Jennifer G, you are giving a talk about why be a Christian, which is arguably like the biggest sales pitch of the last 2 millennia. And when you were a kid, you couldn't sell Girl Scout cookies. And people want those. They sell themselves. So I'm like, what? What am I on? But anyway, so before I panicked, which is usually the state I live in, I was like, all right, let's back it up. Why is Jenny Zulovich a Christian? I think I can answer that. And boy, I wish I remembered the first time I answered that question, or I was asked that question, because I guaranteed I was a deer in headlights like this, like, you know, I'm a Christian because I was born that way. It's true, I was a cradle Catholic, and I had no real reason to leave the faith. And I was probably asked this about high school or early college, and it's like, you know, that's a pretty lame reason. That's not inspiring at all. I was like, yeah, I'm here because I never bothered to leave. And so, after I was praying about it a while and thinking about it a while, I kind of settled on a verse from John chapter 14. It's John 14:6, where Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And so tonight I kind of want to talk about why Jesus in Christianity provide us a way, truth, and a life. So let's start with way. I think humans tend to want to do good because I think we know, at least at some point, we were born good, and we want to do good things. You know, little kids are super cute, and they're like, look, I made you this thing. I'm like, oh, thank you very much. And people want to do good things. They want to be helpful. And I don't really know anybody who wakes up in the morning and is like, yep, I'm going to be a raging jerk today. I just don't think anybody does that unless they're super jaded. But then we reach a question of what is good? What does being good mean? What does that look like? What is a good life? And so it's well, I don't know. And so you go and you look at what society says, and it's and so then there's a group of people over here. It's yeah, you can do all of these things. It's awesome. And there's people no, you can't do those things. And it's there's so many mixed messages out there. It's well, you say I can't do that, and you say I can't do that. And it doesn't look like anybody's actually saying, this is what is good. And it seems like you can just make it for yourself. And so it's all right, I'll just make my own definition. And we end up deciding for ourselves what is good, what constitutes as a good life. And so you're living your life, minding your own business, what to do, and then it's boom, man, because we're imperfect people, you do something that is on your list of no-nos. It's oh gosh, I can't believe I partied that much this weekend. Oh gosh, I can't believe I cheated on that exam. gosh, I can't believe like I lied to that person. But we still want to be good, and so it's like, well, maybe I didn't need that to begin with. That's just kind of there. We don't need that. I can still be a good person. And what happens is when you live by your own definition of good, you continually lower and lower your standards as you try to maintain your status as a good person, but you keep failing as humans do. And that can obviously lead you to not very good things. And so what Christianity does and Jesus is they provide us the definitive truth of like how to live a good life. Jesus says the greatest commandments are these. You will love your God with all your heart, all your mind, and all your soul, and you will love your neighbor as yourself. And as you read through the Gospels and the Old Testament, the New Testament, it's all laid out about what we can do to earn salvation and earn eternal life, which is usually where we want to end up. And so, but when we follow the path of Christ and follow the path of Christianity, it provides us that path to the goodness that we seek deep in our hearts. And it puts you on a very straight and narrow path, which is not easy to walk. Believe me, it isn't. But what's also great about Christianity is that not only does it provide a way of salvation, it provides a way of redemption and forgiveness. I think a lot of people, when they just live by society, they decide, it's like, all right, you know what, I'm going to be better. And they add things to your good list. And then society's like, sweetie, I have the receipts. You're not slick. And they're so quick the society that says that you get to decide what's good is so quick to condemn you then when you try to be better. And just continues to knock you down, and it's like, no, you're not. But Christianity, as Catholics, we have the beautiful sacrament of reconciliation and confession, where you can go and talk to a priest and be like, hey, this is what I did, but I'm trying to be better. And then Jesus, acting through the priest, forgives you and gives you the strength to be better, to go down that straight and narrow path and be the good people we so desire to be. So next we have truth and how Christianity provides truth. So, kind of just by show of hands, how many of you guys are really into astronomy? Planets, stars, things of that nature? Okay, yeah, I see a couple hands. All right, now, how many of you guys on August 21st went outside and watched the solar eclipse? You guys just told me you weren't into astronomy. What the heck is this? That's clearly astronomical in the sky. But why? So why did so many people who say they're not interested in astronomy go outside and watch that? And I think it points to a higher truth that we as humans are attracted to things like beauty, to things like goodness, as I said earlier, to things like truth. And we are attracted to things that, even if we can't explain it, we know is awesome and beyond ourselves. There are things in this world that we simply cannot answer, and that this world cannot answer. Like I said, I'm a biochemist, so I'm a scientist, and one thing that somebody said to me that's always stuck with me is that science explains how, but religion explains why. So science can explain, how that eclipse happened, how the moon moved right in front of the sun and made something really cool. But it can't explain why so many people were drawn to it and why we found the beauty in something we never looked at before. I'm, like I said, a biochemist, so I study the chemistry of life. And so I can study all these things about how life functions and how everything inside a cell inside your body works to keep you alive. But it can't explain, why are we here? What are we living for? Why am I here and what am I meant to do? These are questions we all ask of ourselves and that worldly answers just simply cannot provide. And that is where religion comes in. So I'm going to introduce you to one of my favorite titles for Mary. It's not one I've heard very much, but it's Our Lady's Seat of Wisdom. And what she is she is generally depicted as holding Christ. He's either in her lap or she's holding him. And Christ represents all wisdom, all truth, and all knowledge. And Mary's holding him kind of as his throne, like as the seat of wisdom. She is a creation pointing to the Creator. And just as she points to Jesus, so does all of creation. She shows us that no matter how much searching we do, that any pursuit of knowledge and wisdom and understanding will eventually lead us to a face-to-face meeting with Christ. And then we will get to those answers of, why was I created? Because God saw that the world needed you. What am I here to do? I'm here to do God's will. And it gives you the answers to questions that you could spend your whole life searching to answers otherwise. So Christianity answers truths of the universe and points to them. And lastly, life. And that Christianity leads to a life lived to the fullest. So I, for one, want to be able to look back at my life and know that it meant something. And know that it was full. And that I did everything that I was supposed to do, and that I meant something to people. And I think we all try to live a full life because nobody wants to be empty. But we end up filling it with things like pursuit of money or power or ambitions. And those just will not give us the fullness of life that we so desire. And so in John 10:10, Jesus says, "A thief comes only to steal and to slaughter and to destroy, and I came that they might have life and have it more abundantly." And Jesus is saying that as we follow him and give our life to him, that he'll give us back a life far better than anything we could have ever imagined for ourselves. But what does that look like? How does one give their life to Jesus and know that it was better? What does that even look like? So I have a story to tell you. So this summer, I taught a program called Totus Tuus. It comes from John Paul II's papal motto of "Totally Yours." And I went around with a little squad of 4 of us. We went to a bunch of different parishes and taught summer programs to children. But instead of talking about that, because I could talk about that for a very long time, I want to talk about one of the saints, actually, that we taught the children, about Saint Ignatius of Loyola. So he lived in about the 15th century, I think, 1400s. Sorry, Father, I know you taught me and I forgot. He lived a while ago. And he was born in Spain, and he was born like a rich nobleman. And so when he was a young man, Spain went to war with somebody, I don't remember. The little kids never cared about the details, so I forgot them. But anyway, so he was off fighting in this war, and your boy got hit in the leg by a cannonball. Generally, not a good time. So he had to go home and recover for a long time. And so while he was at home, since he came from a rich family, they had a library and they had books. And so he started reading them because, it's pretty boring when there's no Netflix or TV or the internet. So he started reading all of these books. And the first ones he read were about kings and queens and knights and adventures. And he was like, yes, this is the pinnacle of life. That's what I want to do. Well, eventually he ran out of those stories and ran out of every other book in the library, except for these last few about the lives of the saints. And he was like, well, I'm still super bored, and I still can't go anywhere, so I'm going to read these. And what he found was that in looking at the lives the saints lived, that it was far better than anything else he had read before. And that they lived the full life that he was seeking, and that he wanted to be just like them. And they inspired him to give his life to Christ just as they had done. And in giving his life to Christ, this man, St. Ignatius of Loyola, founded the Jesuits, which is now one of the biggest orders of priests in the world, and our current Pope Francis is a Jesuit priest. You want to talk about how giving your life to God makes a difference? Just look at the lives of the saints and what their yes did in the world. A life lived for Christ will never, ever be a life wasted. Way, truth, life. Right. So I know some of you guys might be thinking, this chick is off her rocker. It's true I am, but for various reasons. But it's look, you're saying a lot of real nice things, Jenny. Real cute. Sounds very real, and idealistic and whatnot, but like, you don't know anything about my life. Like, you could be like, I've never experienced any of that. Like, I've tried following Jesus and it didn't work. I still fell. I tried looking for those truths and came up empty. I tried giving God everything and it felt like I got nothing back. Like, why should I still be a Christian when none of that is happening? I propose to you that the most important reason to be a Christian is for Christ, and because of Christ, and because of everything he has done for us. Be a Christian because of the Christ who created the world and looked at us even after we had committed original sin and saw us in our brokenness and said, no, I'm not going to leave them like this. And then God sent his only son to be with us, live with us, teach us, and die in our place, and then opened up the gates of heaven so that we may join him. That is who we are a Christian for, and not for anything that he could ever give us, but just in thanksgiving for everything he has already given us, even if we cannot see it. And like, I know that's a really tall order, and it's not easy. And like, if you don't even know Jesus right now, and you're like, I'm not gonna be a Christian for him, I don't know him. And you're probably thinking like, girl, you just failed your sales pitch. Well, except I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm not trying to get you to buy into the Christianity thing and con you into be like, haha, got another sucker. Like, I don't profit from this. Honestly, I'm embarrassing myself on tape that my mom's probably gonna watch. I'm here because St. Peter, in his first letter, says that you should always be ready to give an explanation to anyone who asks you for a reason for your hope. I'm hoping that I'm doing for you right now what was done for me 6 years ago, in this very room actually. Our youth group used to meet here. And little teeny bopper Jenny came to youth group really lost and lonely and broken after what I can only describe as probably one of the worst years of my life. I did not transition into high school well. And I didn't know if this whole Christianity thing was what I wanted. But I knew I wanted something, because what I had right now just was not enough. And so I came, and I saw that there were other people living their lives differently. And in talking to them, they shared with me the reasons for their hope and for their joy. And it was because of a relationship with Jesus. And I was like, yeah, I want that, but I don't know how to get there. And they said, that's okay, we'll come with you. I'm a Christian because of Christ, and because over the years I've known too much of his goodness and too little of his own plans for me to ever be anything else. And I know that takes a lot of faith, which is a gift from God. I think if you currently find yourself needing more faith to follow Christ, just ask him for it. It's that simple. He's waiting to give it to you because he wants to be with you, and he wants you to live your life to the fullest and to get to heaven and to know him intimately. And if you need someone to walk with you towards Christ, just look around. There's probably over 100 people in here who are willing to walk with you towards Christ. And that being a Christian means being a part of this church, and that we are all ready to welcome you in to this great journey. So let's end in prayer. Dear God, we just thank you so much for the opportunity to follow you. We thank you for revealing yourself to us. And we just ask that whatever we need, be it faith, be it hope, be it love, that you give it to us so that we can better follow you. And we ask all of this through the intercession of our most holy mother, who was the first Christian. As we pray, Hail Mary, full of grace,
the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Thank you.